Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, His Highness the Emir will sponsor and attend Kuwait Teachers Society's Golden Jubilee ceremonies tomorrow. Syria is holding a presidential election in government-held areas amid heightened security. Egypt's Presidential Election Commission is expected to officially name the country's next president. And the US President announces today that the United States plans to boost its military presence in Europe as tensions simmer in the region. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah. His Highness the Emir then received the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem. His Highness the Emir also received the Acting Premier, Minister of Interior and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah. Finally, His Highness the Emir received the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al Mubarak Al Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah will patronise and attend the ceremony marking the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Kuwait Teachers Society. The ceremony, themed Thank You My Teacher, will be held tomorrow Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. at the Basic Education College Auditorium in Shamia area. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem. His Highness the Crown Prince also received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al Jarrah Al Sabah. National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem today hailed His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah's visit to Iran, saying it would help bolster regional security, stability and peace. Speaker Al Ghanem said in a statement that this visit was predicted, considering His Highness the Emir's approach of boosting Kuwait's historic policy of moderation, dialogue and conciliation in the Gulf region. The chairman of the State Council of China, Li Keqiang, received this afternoon in the Chinese capital Beijing His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, and his accompanying delegation on the occasion of his visit to China. An official reception ceremony was held for His Highness the Prime Minister at the Great Hall of the People, where the Chinese Honour Guard saluted His Highness and the national anthems of both countries were played. Chairman of the State Council of China, Li Keqiang, held talks with His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, at the Great Hall of the People. A friendly atmosphere prevailed in the talks, during which both sides discussed the historical bilateral relations and means of boosting them in all domains, in addition to tackling ways of expanding mutual cooperation in several fields in order to serve the interest of both countries. The talks were attended by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah al-Khalid al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Commerce and Industry Dr. Abdul Muhsin al-Mid'ij, the Minister of Finance Anas Khalid al-Saleh, the Second Deputy Chairman of Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry Abdul Wahab Muhammad al-Wazan, the Foreign Under-Secretary Khalid Sulaiman al-Jarallah, members of the official delegation accompanying His Highness the Prime Minister and Kuwait's Ambassador to China Muhammad Saleh al-Dhuwaikh, as well as a host of Chinese ministers and top government officials. The governments of Kuwait and China signed today 10 agreements and bilateral memoranda of understanding during a ceremony attended by His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister of China, Li Keqiang. The agreements and memoranda of understanding are as follows. An agreement of mutual exemption of visas for those who have diplomatic service, special and public affairs passports signed by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Jabir al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah and the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. A memoranda of understanding on developing mutual cooperation regarding the economic belt of the Silk Road and Silk City signed by the Minister of Finance Anas Khalid Saleh and Chairman of the Chinese National Committee for Development and Reform Chu Chao-chi. A loan agreement in the education domain between Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development and the People's Republic of China, signed by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister and the Chinese Minister of Finance Liu Wei. A cooperation agreement in the oil domain signed by the Deputy Premier, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Acting Minister of Education and Acting Minister of Higher Education Dr. Abdul Muhsin Al-Mid'ij and the Chinese Minister of National Energy Authority Wu Qin-yong. A memoranda of understanding on investing in the Asian Bank to finance the infrastructure signed by Minister Saleh and the Chinese Minister of Finance Liu Wei. An agreement in the aerial services domain signed by the Chairman of the General Department of Civil Aviation Fawaz Abdulaziz Al-Farah and the Chairman of the Chinese Civil Aviation Department Li Keqiang. A cooperation protocol in the field of translating and publishing old literatures of both countries, signed by the Foreign Under-Secretary Khalid Sulaiman Jarallah and the Chinese Deputy Minister of the Public National Authority for Media, Publishing, Radio and Television, Wu Chi-lin. A memoranda of understanding on the oil domain between Kuwait Petroleum Corporation or KPC and China Petrochemical Corporation Sinopec, signed by the Deputy Chairman of KPC Nizar Mohammed Atsani and Chairman of Sinopec Fu Qingyi. A cooperation agreement in the field of investing in Africa signed by the Managing Director of the Public Investment Authority Badr Mohammed Saad and the Executive President of the African Fund Chi Jiang Sin. A memoranda of understanding between Zain Group and Huawei Company signed by Chairman of Zain Group Asad Ahmed Al-Binwan and the Deputy Chairman of Huawei Company He Tao. Chairman of the State Council of China, Li Keqiang, hosted an official dinner banquet at the West Hall of the Great Hall of the People in honor of His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, and his accompanying official delegation on the occasion of his visit to China. The Council of Ministers held its weekly meeting at Sea Palace this morning under the chairmanship of the Acting Premier, Minister of Interior and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. Following the meeting, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al-Mbarak Al-Sabah, said at the outset of the meeting the Council of Ministers was briefed by Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid of the Noble Order of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah on granting the Kuwaiti citizenship to the security personnel who accompanied the late Emir Sheikh Jabir Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah during the aggressive assault on his motorcade that took place in 1985. The Cabinet tasked the Interior Ministry with completing the necessary procedures and legal tools in this regard in preparation for discussing them in the next session. The Council then took note of the message addressed to His Highness the Emir from His Excellency the President of Benin, Bon Iyayi, which included an invitation for His Highness the Emir to participate in the round-table meetings during the European headquarters of the World Bank in Paris on the 17th to the 19th of June 2014. The Cabinet also took note of the message addressed to His Highness the Emir from UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon, which included an invitation for His Highness the Emir to participate in the annual treaty signing event due on the 23rd to the 25th of September 2014 at the UN headquarters in New York City. Within the same context, the Cabinet took note of the message received by His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, from the Prime Minister of Chad, Kalboué Pahimi Dubé, inviting him to represent the State of Kuwait in the Conference of Financing the National Development Plan of 2013-2015 and the National Food Security Programme due in Paris on the 20th and 21st of June 2014. On the other hand, the Council of Ministers discussed the recommendations of the Legal Affairs Committee, which included a decree on amending some provisions of Decree number 240 for the year 2012 about establishing a development agency for the Silk City, Al Sabbiya and Bobian Island. The Cabinet ratified the decree and submitted it to His Highness the Emir for approval. The Council then tackled and authorised a number of draft laws and referred them to His Highness the Emir in preparation for submitting them to the National Assembly. Finally, the Council of Ministers discussed the issues listed on the Parliament's agenda, as well as the latest political developments on the Arab and international levels. Syria is holding a presidential election in government-held areas amid heightened security. President Bashar al-Assad is widely expected to win a third 7-year term in office. Syria is 3 years into a civil war in which tens of thousands of people have died and millions more have been displaced. Analysts say Syrian officials have gone to great lengths to present the vote as a way to resolve the crisis. This is the first time in decades that more than one name has appeared on the ballot paper. At least 120 people have been killed in northern Yemen yesterday in fighting between rebels and government forces. Ahmed al-Bakri, Deputy Governor of Umran Province, said that fighting ended yesterday evening after the sides agreed a ceasefire and no clashes were reported today. Yemen has been in turmoil since 2011 when mass protests forced long-ruling President Ali Abdullah Saleh to step down. As well as the fighting in Omran, where tribal militia is trying to cement its control over the northern highlands, Yemen is facing a threat from Al-Qaeda and a challenge from separatists in the south. The official results of the 3-day Egyptian presidential elections last week is expected to be announced later today. Former Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is already being celebrated in the country as a clear winner, according to exit polls which saw him take the lead against his sole competitor, leftist politician Hamdi Sabahi, with 93% of the vote. Judicial sources said Egypt's election committee rejected Sabahi's appeal against voting results that gave al-Sisi a landslide victory. The vote came 10 months after the army's ouster of former President Mohamed Morsi in July in reaction to protests against his rule. Libya's new interim Prime Minister Ahmed Matlaq took office yesterday and said national security would be a top priority for his administration. Matic, a businessman named as interim premier last month after a disputed parliamentary vote, held his first cabinet meeting in the capital Tripoli. He pledged that his government would fight extremism and improve security for all Libyans. He also paid tribute to the victims of what he described as the revolution in the city of Benghazi. The new Palestinian Unity government headed by President Mahmoud Abbas seeks to resolve conflict over the West Bank and Gaza Strip, but its cooperation with Hamas has raised some international concern, especially from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Meanwhile, the Obama administration has promised to cooperate with and financially support the new Palestinian Unity government during the ire of Israeli officials as well as certain lawmakers in the United States. More in the following report by Majd El-Wahidi from Gaza.
To its Israeli ally, the United States said Monday it intends to work with the new Palestinian government and will continue to send aid to the Palestinian Authority. Meanwhile, State Department spokeswoman revealed that the Secretary of State John Kerry spoke with the President Mahmoud Abbas, expressing concern about Hamas's role in such government and the importance that the new government commit to the principles of non-violence, recognition of the State of Israel, and acceptance of previous agreements.
Getting such support from the U.S. is a good thing. We have to, the challenge for the new government is to keep on track and to keep themselves on terms of having a balance between having a good relation internally and having a good image and a good connection in terms of international community.
On Monday, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas leaders hailed the end of the Palestinian division after last-minute disagreements were resolved and a new cabinet was sworn in, taking its oath under a unity deal between leaders in the West Bank and Gaza. Outraged by the deal, Israel voted to cut its ties with the Palestinian Authority and take punitive actions.
The slogan of Hamas movement was that 2014 is the year of Palestinian unity. During Hamas and Fatah negotiations, we noticed Hamas' flexibility beside its acceptance of some undesirable characters. All of this proves its sincere intention. Also, I think the regional and international situation helped to make both Fatah and Hamas in need for reconciliation.
Israel maintains Hamas as a terror organization committed to Israel's destruction. They decided to hold PA responsible for any Gaza rockets, showing their deep disappointment by U.S. reaction regarding working with the new government. Earlier Monday, Israel's Security Cabinet decided that it will not hold negotiations with the new Palestinian Unity and will oppose Hamas participation in the Palestinian elections if they take place.
For years, the international community were looking for what has been done in Palestine as a terrorist and such thing. The new government has a big challenge to make the image correctly. They have to make a difference between terrorism and self-defense.
In a loud cry, Israeli Economy Minister Naftali Bennett condemned the new alliance, calling it a government of tourists in suits. On the other hand, Hamas leaders in Gaza blessed the new government, assuring their willingness to cooperate with it. This is Majlou Hairi reporting for Kuwait English News from Gaza.
A heavy dust storm roared into Iran's capital yesterday, blacking out the sun in a swirling cloud and tearing down trees in a squall that reportedly killed at least 4 people and injured 30. State television reported that the storm struck Tehran with winds of up to 110 kilometers an hour. The report also said that the storm killed 5 people, while Iran's official IRNA news agency said it killed 4 people as winds hit 130 kilometers an hour. The storm reportedly caused temporary power outages in some districts of Tehran and broke trees, in addition to causing chain reaction crash on a highway south of the capital with 20 vehicles and also forcing the cancellation of international flights. Authorities said that a Pakistan Air Force fighter jet crashed today into the country's largest city after a technical fault, killing 2 pilots and a civilian on the ground. Air Force spokesman Tariq Mahmood said that the Mirage jet was on a routine training mission when it went down at a bus terminal in the Yusuf Goth neighborhood in Karachi, the capital of the southern Sindh province. He added that a board of inquiry had been formed to determine what caused the crash, and the Air Force would compensate for the loss of life and civilian property. The Pakistan Air Force provided no details about any civilian losses, but a police officer said 1 civilian was killed and 3 buses were damaged in the crash. US President Barack Obama announced today that the United States plans to boost its military presence in Europe as tensions simmer in the region over Russia's actions in the Ukraine. Standing alongside Polish President Bronisław Komorowski, Obama said the United States would rotate more American troops into the region and called on Congress to provide up to $1 billion to support the effort. Obama's announcement came at the start of a 3-day European trip. Obama said he wants both the United States and Ukraine to have good relations in the future with Russia. Moreover, he called on Moscow to avoid further provocation in Ukraine, warning that such provocations would be met with further consequences. Kuwait Stock Exchange closed today's session with the weighted index up by 0.7 points to settle at 493.93 points, while the price index went down 2.19 points, hitting 7,368.4 points. The KSX 15 settled at 1,208.12 points, on an up of 2.98 points. Trades came to 3,039 spot transactions by a fall of curtain worth 19.5 million Kuwaiti dinars, with 105.1 million shares changing hands. For channels to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. His Highness the Emir will sponsor and attend Kuwait Teachers Society's Golden Jubilee ceremonies tomorrow. Syria is holding a presidential election in government-held areas amid heightened security. Egypt's Presidential Election Commission is expected to officially name the country's next president. And the US President announces today that the United States plans to boost its military presence in Europe as tensions simmer in the region. Thank you for joining us.